Greetings and welcome to Into the Nexus. This is Into the Nexus episode 263. I am your host, Kyle Fergusson. Garrett is out of town, but joining me for his monthly, but slightly delayed, but still monthly return is the amazing Jeff Cannata. Welcome again to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm really happy we have you on a non-dramatic Blizzard show. I apologize. Last times you were on, end of the year letter and then the layoffs, and it's good to have you on a happy show, but my heart is a little heavy from all the video game news going on in the world.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. The news just keeps flowing, and this week in particular, we get some interesting kind of peeks into the darker side of game dev, right?
I mean, hopefully the formative, evolutionary, that this will all culminate in a better crunch-free work environment. But I kind of feel like I got to do Wikipedia research on the company before I go purchasing a game again. I gotta make sure I'm sponsoring the right folk.
I mean, I think we could probably do a 2-hour episode just on that,
Yeah.
just on that notion of how much do you feel responsible for the things you purchase? I mean, at what point do we draw a line? Because at some point you have to draw a line. There has to be a line drawn, because you can't live with the guilt of every single product from every single company, because it's untenable. So at a certain point you have to go. Like this week, I decided, well, I guess my family and I can't have pork anymore, because evidently there's not going to be any regulation or oversight of the pork industry outside of the industry itself. So it's like everything. It's everything. Yeah. At a certain point, you have to go, I can't be responsible for it all.
It used to be so simple. I think duck is delicious. Ducks are adorable. I made a decision not to eat ducks. But it's gotten more complicated.
And you want to be a good person. You want to be a responsible, aware person. You want to be proactive and helpful to your fellow man, and you want to make the world a better place. I certainly do. And you think to yourself, well, I want my purchasing decisions to be an extension of that worldview. And at a certain point, you're like, well, I can't have any phones because they're all made by slave labor, and I can't have any food because it's all made by slave labor, and I can't, it's like, it's just everything is dark. It's a dark timeline right now.
Yeah.
Even our entertainment, our video games, it's like, come on, let's treat human beings a little better, please.
Hopefully this all turns into something beautiful, and I mean, at the very least, like, we're all talking about what seems to be, which is crazy, heady ideas of unionizing a functioning entertainment industry, which the film has been doing for generations now.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I just want voice actors on the covers of my video games.
That would be cool. That would be cool. As somebody who just announced yesterday that I'm going to be a voice actor in a big video game, I'm very excited about that. I wouldn't mind that reality.
You guys you're screaming your heads off for us. You're pretending you're on fire, and we throw everybody on a movie poster. I want to be in Heroes of the Storm. I want to click on Sonya, and right there below her description is, performed by X, and then designed by X, and IMDb this business.
Right. Well, I mean, I think ultimately that is a marketplace decision. I'm not usually one to throw that into anybody's face, but I do feel like if you heard that a specific voice actor was in a video game, would you be more inclined to purchase that video game? I don't think we're there yet. If you hear that a certain actor is in a movie, you're probably more inclined to go see that movie, or director for that matter. We just need to get to the place where those things impact buying decisions, and they will be on the covers of games. If that's why you see Hideo Kojima's name on the cover of a video game box, because his name sells copies of that video game box.
That's very true. Having old BioWare, having Jennifer Hale being a name that immediately comes to mind, from Bastila of KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, to being FemShep. Like, that's a name that even I see, I'm looking at DVD, and I see that she performed Cinderella for some Cinderella 25. I'm like, damn, Cinderella's badass.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be cool. I think that if having strong voice acting improves my enjoyment of a game. I would love to know the next game that, and I kick myself for not even knowing her name, but whoever the voice actress was that did the voice of Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, her performance is outstanding. I would love to follow her to her next job, and I could do so on IMDb, I suppose, but it would be wonderful if that was a little more front-facing. But I don't think the vast majority of the public bases their gaming decisions on who's voicing the characters.
That's probably true. I mean, I will say that my Chromie experience has been 180 by a rework. That helps. But also the new skin, those things change so much for me.
Top tier skin pack right now. I would say in my top 2 or 3 groupings of skins. I think all across the board, these new ones, so strong. But yes, that Chromie is definitely the standout. And I love all of the spell effects that come along with it. Just chef's fingers to mouth kiss.
I mean, there was a big AMA for the art and design we're going to get into, but you missed last month. We didn't have you on.
Yeah.
How has the game been for you since then? I'm just going to fire it at you. We got loot boxes and shards for gold. Preseason launched. And the role selection all came out in a pile.
Yes. And for some reason, because we've got Storm League now also, and somehow my queue times went way up. When we combined leagues, somehow my queue times skyrocketed. I don't understand. I was queuing for Team League and having like 60 to 70 second queues, 90 second queues. And now I'm in the 400 range in Storm League. I don't understand that. I don't know if we got a precipitous drop off of players or if the new Storm League algorithm is doing more intense matchmaking and therefore takes more time. I don't know the answer to it. It's a little bit of a bummer. It's made me go to quick match more often than I want to because I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I don't want to sit here. And that is a major bummer. I did like the fact that people that remember me on the show will remember that you coached me, and we worked and I climbed my way out of silver into gold in Hero League. And then all of a sudden Hero League wasn't a thing anybody did anymore. It was a ghost town. And when we switched over to Team League, I was down back. I think last season started Team League at silver 4 or 5. And so I actually managed to climb up to silver 2 by the end of that season, but was still sort of languishing there. And it was lovely to start Storm League in the gold again. Seeing gold all around me was very nice. I was very pleased that they pulled my Hero League MMR out. So that was cool. What else? I'm having a good time. I'm finding a lot of lopsided matches lately, in both directions. I have very mixed feelings about role selection. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or you can get to that.
No, absolutely. I mean, tread on ahead.
So I recognize that the role selection, saying your preference before you queue, I think there is merit to it. I like the idea behind it. I like the impulse to provide more information in a draft. I just am not satisfied with its current implementation because I find it so binary. I find it so I find my ability to make selections to be so limited and carries so much weight. I would like, because this is how I play, I would like to be able to select my preferred role per map. Because I find myself, making a decision about a character I want to play when I see that splash screen and know what map I'm on. Like, yes. Like, last season, I had like a 70% win rate on Dragons. Why can't I think of the name of the map?
Dragonshire.
Dragonshire. Yes. Yeah. Dragonshire and Alterac Pass were like my 2 best maps because I was like, insta-pick Brightwing with Bribe. And in my league, if I was Brightwing with Bribe on those maps, I could steal in the first 5 minutes of a match. I could generate enough stacks that I could steal Siege Camp or the Giants, and it just made me win. I loved it, and I was like insta pick Brightwing. But I don't want to like say I want to be the support. I don't want to show support as my thing for every map that might come up because I don't have that many supports. I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm a support main, but I love playing a specific hero on those specific maps, you know? And if it's Battlefield of Eternity, there are characters I would love to play to help burn that immortal down. I have, hip pocket, awesome heroes that, ranged assassins and Artanis and characters that I know, yes, that map comes up, I want to play those characters. That isn't communicated in that role selection thing. And I feel like maybe I'm taking it too seriously, but I feel like when I get to the draft screen and I see everybody's preferred roles, I'm immediately thinking of them for those roles. And I don't want people to think of me in a specific role if I want to play outside that role. I feel like I'm betraying their trust if I show tank and I'm like, oh, I'm Brightwing, or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, have you right now selected healer as your primary role just to do the business?
I haven't. I know you ended, I think last week or the week before, you ended saying, don't be flex. Don't do it. For the love of God, don't be flex. And I'm like, oh, he's talking to me. Because I want to make that decision based on a lot of other information. And I don't feel confident going in blindly to a map or a draft situation saying, I'm ready for this role. Like I just don't. There are some times I'm like, yeah, no, I'd love to be the tank. And other times I'm like, yeah, no, I would love to be the healer. And other times where I'd love to be so I feel like I truly want to fit into the needs of my team.
That's fair. And in that sort of Phil way, if you come in, Phil, to my game, but you're like, oh, this is my Kael'thas map. I always do Kael'thas on this one. And you show that immediately, we're not talking about the same Phil anymore. Maybe we need two types of Phil. Because that now flexible player is saying, this is my lead. This is where I'm willing to first pick. I'm not going to wait till the end because I'm this whimsical master of draft in silver. What? I'm not going to trust you there.
Right. No, you're right. And that is definitely another situation that I'm in where I'm like, we got first pick. I'm ready to show up with that Kael'thas if we need him. If nobody else is going to do it, let's not ban Kael'thas. I'll be your man. I'm your guy. But if I'm showing, hopping into draft with a support token next to my name, and I'm like, I'm ready to be your Kael'thas, it doesn't feel right to me. I don't know.
No, well, everyone's going to think, what's this Kael'thas problem? Does he think Flame Strike can heal if it casts it on our own team? This is going to be horrible. Get this guy on the support. He doesn't know what's going on.
I have that same bias to other people. When we jump into a draft and I see like two people with ranged assassin as their main thing, and a guy with a heal and a guy with a tank, and I'm like, this is awesome. We're set. And then they're all showing different things, and I'm like, whoa, we were set.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? Stay in your lanes.
But even chat's backing you up. They're being like, he's ready to play the map and the objective. That's what you need.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't feel like that role selection helps communicate that. And I wish there was a way. I honestly think like a per map role selection would be rad, or some sort of like even preferred heroes would be rad to show instead of, I don't know. I think it's the first step to something, and it has its best intentions at heart, but I think it's a little too primitive right now to be something that I can say that I actually love.
It's an amazing twisted system, and I'm having a very interesting struggle with it. One, people click on my profile and they see that this guy loves Diablo, and I don't want to right now, but I'm also extremely easily swayed. And if people are like, dude, you play Diablo, I look at your win rate. You love Diablo. Let's do it. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And it's a horrible idea, but I'm also having a major problem with tank. I have to get off it, because when I am tank main role, everybody thinks World of Warcraft. Everyone thinks one tank out in front, 4 people in the way back. Let's make it happen. I'm like, no, I need friends. So right now I'm doing like a bruiser tank, and that went bad too, because then we didn't get a tank. So I'm in plat in the crazy mixed up plat promotions, diamond demotions mine, surrounded by people who don't want a tank. So I feel like whatever I don't cover isn't happening. So right now I'm bruiser, ranged assassin, so that when I pick Artanis, someone goes, that's not a tank. We need a tank, everybody.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's actually made drafts better. I don't know if it's made it worse, but I also don't know if it's made it better. You know, I appreciate the intention, but I don't think it's all the way there yet. There's too many variables, and to be a strong player, I don't think you can just say I'm here to tank. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems like a weird stamp to put on yourself.
Well, and it's a tough game. You know, I would love more options to go in and get organized and pretty up my little hero's house, and I'd love to be like Dragonshire. I play this and this. And I love that in the roster as well. Just when you load me into Volskaya, show me my favorite Volskaya picks. Don't make it a general roster for all situations.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I would love it. And I think it's easily doable. It's just, you know, I don't know. I think people would dig that. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a fascinating mental game. And I'm curious if I'm putting a lot of work into the flux of people coming in. I'm trying to solve a big puzzle that won't exist in 2 weeks when everyone says, Stormlink, I'm done with you. You didn't give me the role I wanted. I'm out. And then we go back to the core audience of players and everything returns to normal.
Maybe. For me, it's more about why are the queue times so long?
Yeah, that's weird.
It bums me out. It bums me out big time.
But you're seeing gold. That's the bell curve. You're at the top of there should be the most people for you.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah. And I don't know if it's, you know, the game's really trying hard to get me cool matches and it's willing to let me wait a little longer, or what? Or if if the player base is really getting squeezed. I mean, there's a lot of big prominent games. People are in their Division 2s right now, or what they're doing, you know, if people are playing other things. I don't know. I love this game and I want to play more of it, but it is a mental roadblock for me to click that button and see 400 seconds estimated and go, ugh. All right, I just had enough time for, you know, what I love about Heroes of the Storm is it only takes me half an hour. I can think about this game in half an hour chunks. Oh my God, I have half an hour before I need to do X. I can get a game of Heroes in. And then when you jump on and you're like, oh, I'm going to be sitting here for however many minutes, that cuts into that half an hour block. Now I hope this game is a quick one because, you know, it's psychological for me.
There is a little bit of news that their predictive wins have been very accurate. And they may be able to, and this is just for minor regions, speed that up. If that technology can then be applied to our home servers.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. There's also tons of variants right now. I can't blame Blizzard for any sort of matchmaking or swingy games, which are happening everywhere right now. I had a Leoric feed, which is just sadness for the enemy team. These things happen in all leagues. I'm curious to know if we reduce that variance with the core audience when we're back to that in 2 weeks, if the matches will be faster, more balanced, but it is a very stompy or get stomped activity.
Yeah, I have that experience as well. I had a first pick Murky on my team. It just auto snapped into Murky and it tilted the whole team, and then he got mad and it resulted in our throw. And then the very next game, I was in a match where the opposite team, the last pick, they hadn't picked a healer yet, and the guy last picked Sergeant Hammer, and then just drove Sergeant Hammer into our wall over and over and over until we won. And it's like, neither of those things is enjoyable, and it's a bummer. you prefer to be on the winning side of those things, but neither of them is good. And I was saying to my team, let's all report this hammer on the other team because it's not fun. It's not fun. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what that is. Is that new players that don't care? Is that people that are around? And because I feel like I waited around during those long queue times to get into this match. I'm going to make the most of it. I don't know why you would do that to yourself,
Right. It's not autopilot to not invest yourself. That's the weirdest part. I'm sitting there through the draft and I'm like, okay, awesome. That. Ooh, Ana. Ooh, how interesting. Oh no, we got an Alex. Oh, the Ana counters the Alex. How interesting. And I start building the story and then I get to play that story. And that's where the draft is interesting for me. I don't understand how you can check out, but I'm also seeing a lot of players play correctly no matter what. And in particular in Dive Assassins and Bruisers, Colossal Smash Varian is at the forefront of my mind whenever I think of the I'm playing correctly, everyone else is wrong mentality. Because they see that back line and they say, they raise their baseball bat home run and I'm going to get them. Like, well, no, the elements, we're 2 levels down. The elements have changed. And look at their profiles and they're like 47. They're like 53%. Like, they are clearly not losing in this strategy because 50-50, this totally works out, this level of autopilot.
Yeah. It just do you have the support around you? Do you have the team that's like, yeah, we're in, do it, go for it. This guy's doing the right thing, making the right choice, go, or not. And, that's always the gamble, I guess.
I find that puzzle fascinating and my favorite thing about it. So it's always strange to see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saddest about your queue times because that's the big deal breaker.
It's a head scratcher too, because I literally right before the season switchover up until the very end in Team League, it was 90 seconds tops, It was like it was quick. And I felt like, combining the leagues would only improve that, but doesn't seem to be the case.
We do have the 2 league restriction now.
Right.
And that
I wonder if that is it.
Right, because gold might have been this haven of bronze and diamond put together, and bam, you got a gold in a fast match. And, honestly, I didn't have a personal problem with that because I see the math, and these 2 people grouped together, the bronze is going to perform greater than they would otherwise. So, yeah, why not? Let's call this gold.
Yeah. That's a good point. Maybe that has a bigger effect on it than I would think. Or you just fewer people are playing because they can't play with their friends.
Yeah, that'd be the real detriment. But we do have some Heroes of the Storm news this week in the form of a AMA.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Click the play button, and let's get started.
So this was the art and design team taken to Reddit, answering your questions. Of course, some people tried to squeeze in, hey, fix my matchmaking. Nope, this wasn't the one for it. This was the art and design team. And there were some good questions here. And just for time's sake, we're going to do a little bit of short versioning of them. First of all, there was a question about the overall pacing of the seasonal events. And the response from Blizzard Davebringer basically said that the next balanced patch and perhaps the subsequent event is going to be the largest in the game's history.
Wow. That's exciting because we've had some big ones, we had some serious big events. I mean, I would think that even the recent board game felt like this huge change to the style, and we've had some big patches. So, wow.
I'm interested to see what happens in 12 days because that countdown is going on the quest. They are building to something with this lunar techno cyber event, which could be a new hero, which could be just a refresh of quests and continuing this sort of light story they have going on in the background. It would
be fun to get a new hero. I feel like it would be a good time for that. It's been a while. And I dig the like cyberpunk aesthetic that we've got going on. The quest is cool with the sort of circuitry look to it. I'm digging it. And I love the fact this game has still got stuff to throw at us. I mean, I know we're still in the buffer zone of content that was made before the big breakup of the band. But I love it. I'm excited to see what's coming down the pike.
And they have really big questions in the balance side to answer too. Like, what are they gonna do about Diablo? He is at 80% popularity, and you watch some high-end streams, they're still banning him, they're still picking him. That's all well and good in a coordinated environment, but there's some odd issues that he is now lower than the people he is meant to counter. How we've touched up Diablo now 34 times over the course of this game's life.
Is that true? Or are you just pulling that number up? Really? That's the number?
Yeah, you can go over to Heroes patch notes, and it gives you a little rundown as to how many times we've messed with these various heroes. Number of patch changes. These are little tweaks. 57.
Oh my gosh. Who is he the top, or is there someone who has been messed with even more?
Abathur would be number 1 at 60.
Abathur. Yeah. I wouldn't have thought of that. That's interesting.
Now, these are just patch changes. When we actually look at a hero update, Lily at 28 is number 1.
All right. I guess that makes sense. I don't think I would have guessed any of those. I feel like there are heroes that have had bigger, wilder swings, so maybe that sticks out in my head more. But that's cool. I dig it. Lily.
My guess of just having never looked at this information would have been poor old Malfurion. He is...
He's had multiple big changes of how he works fundamentally.
I think it's also this sort of the friendly personality of Malfurion that he's welcoming. I mean, granted, Warcraft 3 Malfurion is like really intensely anti-human and stuff, but it's like this, come into the fold, give me a bear hug.
I might have guessed his wife, Tyrande. Yeah. I would have thought she would be up there because she's had those big, crazy tweaks and changes too.
Yeah, just big ones though, like Nazebo, Zagara, all ahead of him. I know Zagara's feeling like, or Garrett's feeling like Zagara's rotting on the vine for him at the moment. Just doesn't have a place. But we'll constantly run into tier lists where Malfurion is just top tier. And there's this perception that, anyone can do Malfurion. It's not true. And I feel so bad for every, below gold that's like, Malfurion, that's got to be an easy healer. I know him from the olden days.
Yeah. I don't see any Malfurions in my games.
You shouldn't.
All.
Where's Ana for you?
Ana shows up pretty frequently. People like playing her, I think. I see a lot of Ana.
I think the real star of the choose rules is Brightwing, because those support mains love them some Brightwing.
I love Brightwing's been my favorite hero since the day I booted up the alpha of this game. Muradin and Brightwing were the first two characters that I played that I liked, and I've played them pretty regularly since. I mean, I don't know. I find her so fun. I think Polymorph is one of my favorite actions in the entire game, abilities. It's just a fun thing to do. I love her spit, trying to predict where people are going to stand in it. I find her so fun.
Yeah, Muradin, another one that I think is really sitting there begging to be adjusted back into a non-HGC world.
Yeah, I'd love to get his little invincibility back on his leap. His that was so fun to be able to like leap over a root or something. I'd love to have that little frame of invincibility back, because I think at the pro scene they could exploit it, but I don't think most players were.
Maybe there's a way to, in the height of the jump, allow that unstoppable to return. Because you're not wrong, particularly when we enter what is, again, a double tank meta where things can get really bumper cars. Poor Muradin is a patience game, and you're rewarded for having massive game knowledge and knowing that Diva's going to bump you, Lucio's going to bump you, a root's going to go down. I don't know why they're running both, but let's just say, hey, and when you know all those things, you go, oh, I'm an amazing Muradin. Let me just stand here and take it for 5 seconds straight, and then eventually I'll get out of here.
Right.
Maybe the reward isn't as great as we like to assume in our sweet pro minds.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if this big massive patch that they're teasing has multiple character reworks, or if it's more of a sort of along the lines of like the big support change that was like one change, but it affected, all the heroes of a certain type. It's more along those lines where they're calling it a big balance patch, but that's because they're sort of fundamentally changing a big section of how the game works.
And this is Blizz Daybringer. We hear from him a lot about the actual state of the overall game. So this isn't necessarily an art person commenting on, the upcoming patch, but that could be an element of this. This upcoming patch could be the biggest ever because Tassadar rework, plus, as we've heard the legends told of how hard it is to make Ragnaros skins, he might have a skin in there, and that, therefore, as a whole team, means it was the biggest patch ever.
Yeah, from the art team's perspective, they're like, we did it! We did a Ragnaros skin!
We made a new one! in fact, they even go on to say that there was a question, do you plan to go through and increase visibility for some spells? And in particular, we're thinking of Kael'thas and his purple flame strike on Sky Temple, or Tomb of the Spider Queen, these maps where these circles get a little lost in the elements.
Yeah.
And they basically said, well, he has 3 abilities and 2 heroics. That's 5 spells. Each of those 5 spells have 5 effects to them each that the artists would have to work on. You can either have Kael'thas get a visual rework, or you can get your Ragnaros skin.
It's interesting. What would you take in that grand bargain? Rather have that Ragnaros skin?
I don't care about Ragnaros.
Neither do I.
I want to. I want to. He's really sweet. But there is...
I've never really played him.
There is this hammer up, I'm gonna get you, chase around the table kids tag style that I just get so frustrated by.
Yeah. I dabbled with him a little. It never really was a hero that I had too much fun with. So yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I just like the idea of everybody having multiple skins, just in theory, is kind of cool. And some sort of fun like chocolate fountain, Ragnaros or something goofy would be fun.
I always got to counter that. It looked like poo. It would happen. We would all be like, "There's candy on top," but no, your brain would go, "Hold on a second."
There would be a certain joy in that too, and it would be the skin would be called "It's Definitely Chocolate." Yeah, I mean, you could have I think you could have a really fun skin with Ragnaros, and I'm ready to be wrong, but man, spell effects, baby, yeah, do that. I mean, the joy I get out of seeing little, I don't know what you call them, holograms come out of Chromie when she shoots things in her awesome new skin. That is I get a lot of joy out of that. So yeah, I if I'm the guy assigning priorities, give me that.
That's a lot of spell effects. It's clearly where they want to put their time budget. Again, we asked, are you remaking Arthas? And they said, no, it's too much work. And we begged them, can you just make like a skin that would be really nice for Arthas? That is like a version of him, but better. Again, we kind of got that no. So I guess that'd be double treading. They know it would sell for the Arthas mains, but not get people into Arthas. And I'm sure they have the math. Like they put out Chromie rework with a Chromie skin. I'm playing Chromie like I never had before. Started the week at level 4. Now I'm level 9. Like I love Chromie in her current iteration.
That's great, man. She does feel more like, she feels like if Li Ming and Gul'dan had a baby, because she's baby size also, so that helps. It feels like I get like Li Ming stuff now with her Sandblast feel more like Li Ming, and the other, whatever. I'm so bad with names now. I have baby brain, but her other, the triple drop now feels like Gul'dan.
Yeah. It's a nice mix of the counterplay that those other mages brought to the game with cool time trap abilities and some nice heroics and early abilities, talents and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a guy straight up message me when a game was over. By the way, we lost, but I kicked his butt. And he's like, hey, were you trolling? Or do you suck that bad? I'm like, dude, Chromie got a rework. Oh. Like, yeah, no, she doesn't just hide in the back anymore. She's in the business. She's like it's still people are learning. Plus, her win rate's going down right now, so she'll get some love too.
Yeah.
Another.
Did you go ahead?
I was going to change, so go for it.
No, I was making a dumb joke. Go ahead.
Well, it's a podcast after all, but we'll move on. Artanis, could he get some UI elements? How about a shield cooldown visual like Jaina's got? Basically, again, too much effort, but they want to improve UI, and the UI they've built for those other heroes can be copy-pasted and imported over. It's just a matter of time again.
Yeah, that sounds like a no.
No.
I'm fine with that. I play a fair amount of Artanis, and I mean, that would be a nice quality of life, but I don't think it's a super high priority for me either.
No, and oftentimes I'm so busy looking at the trying to survive pile that I'm currently Artani-ing, and I've never moved my eyes down and be like, now what's the cooldown? I'm just hoping it's there. Maybe there's some element where I should be paying attention to it more, but honestly, I'm just assuming it's going to pop sometime soon.
Also, you're not going to do anything different.
No.
Right? You don't have any options. It's not like you're like, oh, well, I don't have my shield. I guess I better walk slowly in the opposite direction as everyone attacks me.
You're going to stay attached and hope that shield comes off cooldown sooner via auto attacks.
The next thing, though, is the best news of this entire AMA as far as I'm concerned.
Oh?
I'm very excited about this. I think I clamored for this on an episode of the show when BFA launched.
Jaina BFA?
I want that Jaina skin, baby.
It's
I want
coming.
it. I love that. It is such a cool look for her. I love how she looks in Warcraft now, and I want to be able to. It would make me play Jaina more to have that cool buckled sailor outfit. Oh, it's so rad. I want it.
No, if we gotta work in the boat. Can the boat crash into the ground during the Ring of Frost?
Oh, that would be cool. The boat like emerges from the center of the Ring of Frost for a second, That would be rad.
Level 20, Ring of Frost, where the circle goes off a second time in the middle. Boat crashes down.
In.
No visual clutter at all. In fact, that's one of the questions that was asked is, are you guys concerned about visual clutter? And they did say, yes, we are worried. We might be touching up some heroics in the near future to reduce noise.
I don't know. Give me more noise. I like noise.
I don't particularly mind. I think maybe Orphea is a little overblobbed. It's a lot of purple stuff going on.
Yeah, but it's all useful to me. I'm glad that everybody goes, get out of the big mouth.
That's true. That's true. All right, to rate it in, though, Blizz, Ken and Brew did say they love crossover skins. There's one they really want. BFA Jaina, highly requested, and we want to do it. So there is no confirmation that it already exists.
They got my letters. That's all I'm saying. They acknowledged getting my letters.
I will give them props for this one. A candid response. Can we get our own login screens? And basically said, this is where we advertise new products. We can't let you choose your login screen.
I get it. Fair.
Yeah. You're running a business.
Not a huge problem for me. I do miss the days of, and this is the Wayback Machine, the days when the login screens were interactive and you could find little hidden places to click and it would do something cool.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the halcyon days.
I probably said it to Leoric. I remember, there was one when Braxis came out and you would change the various. They were complicated. There were even some where you played little mini games.
Yeah, there was like a I can't remember which hero it was, but there was meteors in the background and you could click on them like you were playing Missile Command or something. Yeah. That's fun.
I have no doubt that it took a lot of time.
Yeah.
There was better places to be.
Back when they had more people than things that needed done.
Right. Hero progression will be updated with new rewards.
That's cool.
Very interesting. They now have the ability to give gold, gems, and maybe cut out shards, which isn't quite an issue. Maybe they want to increase the value of gold by getting rid of the free loot boxes along the way and giving you gold instead?
I hope it's more the former than the latter. I hope that it feels to me like, and I've said this before, and I don't have any more proof that it's true, but I sense that it's true, that they have been freed up a little bit from expectation to be a real revenue generator and can sort of just relax some of the tension of getting people to buy things with real money. And I think that's what you see in letting you buy loot boxes with gold. And, I think there's maybe a little bit of a relaxation there. And I think maybe that means they can be a little more liberal with the stuff that they give you through progression. Maybe there's more cooler stuff that they can give you more frequently.
Yeah, it would be, if we're getting rid of loot boxes as this money maker, what if Master Skins came back as part of the reward for leveling? Like, not that it was gold purchase hiding at the other end, but just you got level 15.
I would love that. I love Master Skins. I understand the idea of it feeling like you had to be wearing your Master Skin once you earned it, and it made you not want to wear other skins, but I enjoyed that little prestige vanity thing. I liked it. I could probably count on one hand in all the games I've ever played since the change ever using my little master taunt. I just never think to even do it. So that's, useless to me.
Apparently Gulls doesn't even work. For the masterful Gulls out there in the world, they are fixing that. This is an interesting one because it really gets hopes up. Hero sprays will be made into skins. Select ones.
What?
So
what does that mean?
So every once in a while they put out, so I will always remember when they did like a bunch of pirate stuff. I think it was with Cassia. Mm-hmm. And they put out a shark Greybane.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it was just a spray, and it didn't exist. Lots of people have said Lifeguard Johanna as well. All they hinted at some point soon, one of those sprays you love so much is becoming a real skin.
I think you have opined on the show a few times that those were ideas for skins that just didn't get picked to be in the final selection, and that maybe that's the case. Maybe they're going back to some of those things, some of those concept art sketches that just kind of got shuffled off into being sprays, and they're like, oh, let's make these.
I love my tinfoil hats. I still believe that we have a cyberpunk theme, so Milker could give a little jab at his own production company.
What is a pretty brilliant take on that. I did not think of that, but I thought that was pretty smart of you.
So that is the main points of this. There's a lot of art particulars in here. If you're interested in being a video game artist, a lot of them go into their backgrounds, as their education, how much practice they do, what inspired various things. But these would be the things that are affecting the actual live game. There are...
I just think the art team is stellar still.
Yeah.
It is a skeleton crew of what it once was, but man, they put out, I think it is a beautiful game. That's one of the reasons I love it. I think it just outshines League and Dota on a visual level for my money. And it goes to show how much work they put into everything. The game looks great. These new skins are so good. Even something I found myself buying that new Anubarak skin. That's basically just a coloring of the Cyber Anubarak skin, but it's got this awesome like samurai face that they pasted on the front. It's just a cool idea, and it looks so rad. He's super neon colored, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy that. I'm gonna buy that.
They're being really creative about it too. Like when you log in right now, the music is awesome. This
it's really cool.
Techno cyber music starts playing, and they used elements of that to update the Lucio skin music, so he has that as well. They're really refining this pipeline that is making a lot of assets reusable, and it really speaks to how well they understand their own capabilities.
Yeah.
I just think it's fantastic. There were some other blue posts this week. The EU players that were victims of the bug that misplaced them have been manually reset, so that's some 300 accounts that they went in and re-entered an MMR, I guess, for, and got them back in their place.
That was a day, I'm sure. Somebody's day.
Yeah. Unranked roles are coming, along with first come, first serve pick order.
I like first come, first serve pick order. That's cool. That's how it all should be.
That'll get me to actually use it as an element when I'm streaming, when I'm doing viewer games. I'm excited to play some unranked now that we don't have to pick in that order. Very curious to see if the stepping stone of unranked allows us to build that dialogue by the time we reach ranked.
Yeah. And I want to see, having not dipped my foot into unranked in quite a long time, what are the queue times like? I mean, is that really where people are hanging out? Are people wanting a less pressure-filled environment? Because I'll play there if it means I can get more games in.
I've heard from lots of people that they just say, I don't play ranked because I don't got time. Unranked is quicker in the queues.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I agree.
Before we head into our strategy section, let's take a moment to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. This week, we want to thank Trader V, Chris P, and Chaos Simba for their support of the show, as well as our Patreon producers, Declan H and Cheesy Bob. Thank you all for supporting this fabulous show. And this is what allows us to host Jeff Cannata once a month, as well as get this in your pockets, in your phones, and across the internet every single week. So thank you so much to everyone supporting the show.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. You guys make it happen. Thank you.
Patreon.com/ITN. Now, to a little bit of talk about what you should be playing.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Yeah, no clue what that means.
So we are now at the point, 2 weeks after, the dust has settled a little bit after the preseason. We've got Storm League on hot slogs, and we're going to take a look at what you should be playing, picking, banning, as well as, of course, the various augments of your league that can happen therein. So to start this off, I am curious, Jeff, what is the number one fear factor, the number one bans you see in the games you're doing right now in Gold?
Asmodan, Kael'thas, Diablo. Those are the sort of gotta get them out. A lot of Orphea bans, still some Mal'Ganis bans here and there. I always advocate for banning Varian and Lily. Yeah, we got there's a lot. Kael'thas, Asmodan, those are like the gotta ban them.
And Kael'thas, just for an example of this, when you look at overall play, has a 70% inclusion rate. When you look at Silver, Kael'thas has a 100% inclusion rate. 102%. I don't know how that exists, but it's there.
More people ban Kael'thas than there are games played.
Apparently. Somehow it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few games where he seeps through, but that means somebody's picking him. And usually first picking him. So, yeah, it is... he's a hero, especially with some of these compressed maps, where you're fighting over a small area. Nobody's in my league still seems to be able to handle having a little bomb that you can pass among your friends very well.
My league has been fighting over Kael'thas this entire season. It's in the bans, it's in the picks. It is something to control just because there's so much positional chaos going on. You don't know if that bruiser knows to step away at the moment. Are they an up jump gold? Are they from Grandmasters? We don't know. And a Grandmaster certainly can pull off a scary Kael'thas. So it is still worth taking a look at that whenever you're doing the bans. But here's the official report. Anubarak, Diablo, Garrosh, Ana. Those are the ones at the top tier that we're looking to get rid of in the first 4 bans.
Dude, I've been seeing so much Garrosh lately. No one bans him anymore in my league, and I've been seeing him picked a lot.
That's interesting. Is he performing? Is he doing well?
Yeah, people are playing him well. Just causing chaos, throwing people around. It creates panic on the other team, and I think that is something that's useful in my league for sure.
The idea behind the Diablo ban, as we talked about earlier, is that you are counteracting by getting Diablo. This entire huge list of mobile heroes from Li Ming to Hanzo to Lucio's, anybody that might put their back to a wall, even things like Nazebo who might throw themselves in a wall or put up additional walls in the area that are going to allow Diablo to be more powerful, even though his win rate continues to plummet throughout this meta.
Yeah, it doesn't stop people from wanting him. It's interesting.
Now, no matter where you look at tier list right now, you will not see Asmodan as any ban ever across any of the current lists.
Really?
It is something that, now falling down to 49% popularity in games is something that's not happening all the time anymore. But as we experience, much like the Kael'thas situation, the fact that your whole team gets slammed in one big go is just so disastrous. The fact an Asmodan can worth it on your bot lane and get that keep early is so awful to the momentum of a game that we have to keep getting rid of him.
Yeah, he can seem to have presence so much over the whole map. The range of that dunk and the putting little people in lanes. He has a lot of utility. I think he's been reclassified now, right, as an assassin.
Yep, ranged assassin.
Has so much more utility than that. He really can knock out large chunks of health for large groups of people. I feel very confident in saying, I'm happy with the ban of Asmodan still.
I don't want to deal with him either. I think it's a perfectly fine ban, but we do need to start thinking about how we're going to move away from it and how we can counteract it. We are in a bit of a Falstad-ish meta at the moment, kind of spurred on by Brightwing's intense popularity with support players. Dahaka's even been making a bit of a comeback, but Dahaka can't deal with Asmodan. So we're sort of left in a odd, uncounterable space. Does this mean there's place for Illidan, who also deals with Asmodan very well? We're going to have to decide basically as a community, when we're looking at maps, if you want to pick Asmodan purposefully, Infernal Shrines, 54% win rate, but that's as high as it goes. It's not an epidemic anymore.
That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen the fear dissipate yet, but it's interesting that the numbers are pointing to that.
No, he's also just winning against some classics. Anubarak, Gul'dan, Raynor, Arthas, Lucio, they all do really well against Asmodan. But if you're going for something maybe a little more expected, Lili and Johanna have a really poor win rate against Asmodan. And those are sort of your auto leads that you end up with in so many games.
Yeah.
That's your front end bans. When you get to the secondary bans, what we're looking at right now is something a little more shot calling, which is really interesting because we have entered Storm League, the combination of Hero League and Team League, and ETC might be a good ban to get. A leader ETC is so powerful. Everything about him is so low damage, but so high stun, that if he gets out there on the field, people go, well, let's follow ETC. He can't do anything by himself anyway. And this snowball starts to build.
I used to love playing ETC. I used to love playing a stage dive ETC build and just being all over the place and cutting people off at the pass. When they tried to leave, just like stage diving behind the team. And I used to have so much fun playing him, but I haven't played him in ages. And I feel like he's sort of dropped off a cliff. I don't see him picked very often.
It's worth looking at again. It's an odd place. But here's where you can really break down why things might be sneaking up in power right now, and why things like Arthas might be starting to fall a little bit. Every game's going to level 20.
Yeah.
And that's the big change from our Christmas update.
Yeah.
If you are trying to climb right now, really look at your 20s and say, can I win the game off of this one pick? And something like, ETC still has Deathmosh. That'll win a game. People just spent all their abilities killing the tank, and then the tank CCs everybody. That's a game one. Diablo getting off a big stun, having a teleport, probably the biggest one for him. Things that turn into wins like Artanis' laser. I honestly, outside of maybe over-invested Illidan game in the past week, I haven't picked anything but laser in a long time. I don't do blind.
Same. Yeah, I love that laser.
I feel like making Raynor run around in circles for 10 seconds or so is more powerful than blinding him for 4.
Right. Or getting that kill when the person thinks that they've gotten away with a smattering of health, and you can just go, nope.
Yeah. And then into the resets at a level 20. Like this, we're getting bans out of the way here, but this is the big part of the strategy section. Take a look at your 20s. This is where games are being won. Yeah, they got an opening to your court. They're more likely to win now. But on a 60-second death timer, you can take the front fort and their keep. They all res. You're on cooldown again for that heroic.
Yeah.
And you may not be able to core it right then and there, but you're ready to go. And if that enhancement at level 20 is power enough to bring home a win, that's where the wins are happening right now. And that's why we're seeing things like Varian, not doing so hot. He hits basically 13, and then, Varian's going to act the same way he has all game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, his spike comes so early.
And I think that's where things like Dahaka are failing us a little bit,
Yeah.
There's some moldy olds, and Arthas is one of these, Zagara, where you get to 20 and just like, I don't really care which one of these I have.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see stuff like with that Chromie rework where the 20s feel like, oh, it's OP, I would love to see juice it up on some of those older heroes. Maybe that's part of what this big upcoming balance patch will have in store. That'd be fun.
Right. I mean, look at something like Thrall as well. You have a teleport option, which is great depending on what sort of game you've had. Your Earthquake is amazing, giving shields to your allies. If you end up in a Sundering game, you're kind of combo dependent. You're probably not too worried about your 20 in the first place. And hey, you got teleport there. So anyone who's trying to climb right now, I really, really want you to focus in on this idea that your 20s have to bring home the bacon.
That's cool. I like the fact that we're getting to 20s in games. I mean, those are fun talents to look forward to. Those are fun talents to lock into your build and go, now I'm super powerful. I like that. I don't think that's a negative.
Yeah, the advantage is built on the structures themselves rather than the heroes and the levels, which I think is healthier for an entire community, not so much for the nuanced mini plays of a pro scene.
Right.
One more interesting thing that sort of developed is we now have a matching system to what something Hot Slogs has been following a long time, the roles. And we can see that Bruiser is in fact the best role in the game. Has the highest
as far as win rate goes.
Yeah, when we're looking at going to the lowest of 47% win rate to the heights of 57, Bruiser is the number one role you want to have on the team.
And probably the number one role people don't have on a team, right? It's the most easily skippable role of them all.
Which is just insane. Just insane. We are over punishing solo tanks more than we ever have. In fact, there's oftentimes on the show I've been like, stop Blizzard, stop punishing the clump. Now I would just like some clump. Just get some melees in there.
Yeah. I got to play more bruisers. I play a few, but that's an interesting stat. It's a thing that I feel like I never go, we have to have one. And I think I probably should realign my thinking to prioritize them higher.
It's a great thing Sky Temple's just an auto bruiser map for me. You got to have two people that can take the hits out of those two temples at a time. But on the other maps, it does get forgotten. In fact, I think Mal'Ganis' stock is about to go flying because no one really wants to have him solo tank, but he's great at being secondary.
Right.
And all these sort of, and this is where I'm curious for myself. Imperious, Mal'Ganis, all the basically picking a frontline tank that no one wants to see, tank, and then being like, someone else, we need more. And then you're already kind of spiraling into that win there.
Yeah.
Now, some bruisers, of course, things like Zool, like Malthael, it's not a perfect role, and there is a lot of variance among them. The widest breadth of role is a support. going from 54% to 42%.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough role that people often get forced into that don't play it well and don't want to play it. I think that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I think there is particularly an element of Decker Canes that are like,
Yeah.
if I let you heal yourself, it's not my fault.
I had a game like that just yesterday where some Deckard Kane was just like, hey, man, it's not on me. The potions are there.
Oh, I've got 4 potions.
You want to step on them or not? That's on you.
And you see these amazing Decker Canes in the world just rooting and slowing and just nonstop control. And then you got this potion salesman in the back.
Yeah. Funny.
Interestingly enough, but perhaps due to the player base, melee assassins are performing a tiny bit better in a tighter margin than the ranged assassins.
Yeah, looks like the ranged assassins have higher highs but lower lows.
Melee assassins being all of what are we at? 5.
Yeah.
So it's Maiev, Valera, Samuro, Alarak the Butcher, Murky, Illidan, Kerrigan, Zeratul, and Gazlo. So maybe Zeratul is just padding out the ranks.
Yeah, right.
It is interesting to note that in our conversation there about bans, there was no inclusion of Zeratul in any of these lists. I think that might be a conspiracy of the Zeratul players.
Yeah, they're used to hiding everything. They just hide themselves. They hide statistics.
Right, just throw the whole community in a warp, in a void prison.
Void prison.
Yeah. I'm not sure what to do with him. I think it's very easy to end up with Rhaegar's popularity in an over melee team with Zeratul.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
not.
it's a problem.
I'm not sure on that story yet.
I don't know what to do with him either. And it's interesting. The melee assassin is like a little wimpy there on the stats. But 5 of them, Gazlo being one, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
With Robo Goblin, I've died foolishly. I think we all have at some point. Charging it down, movement speed.
I would never put Gazlo as a melee assassin. It's just an odd characterization, but
outside of those various tidbits, you will find a lot of your usuals still owning the higher tiers. Jaina, Kael'thas, Thrall, Artanis, Johanna, but Imperius has snuck in there as well, along with Zeratul.
That's the surprise, Imperius. I feel like he came out of the gate underpowered, never really got any love from a tweak, and I don't see a lot of play from him. And when I do, if he's on my team, I'm always like, oh, he's a liability. On the other team, I'm always like, I don't think that. I feel like that's a wasted pick. So I'm never scared of Imperius. Seeing him have a high win rate is a surprise to me.
Imperius doesn't really match the level 20 kind of strategy we've been talking about here.
Yeah.
The swords are sweet. You give everybody a sword that self-launches. Awesome.
You have to be in range, right? You have to be close to
you got to be all hugged up on each other.
Yeah.
Not quite maybe the thing you're going for. Healers. By the way, we talked about just banning out Ana. It's rather popular. It's rather easy to do. She's got that 1 grenade build. Top healers, according to lists, are going to be your Malfurion and Tyrande. Okay, grats everybody. Pat yourselves on the back for playing hard mode. Brightwing, Rhaegar would be the real follows up here.
Yeah. In my league, I find it worthwhile to ban out Lily just because she gets so much play.
Yeah.
That's why Lily and Varian, I suggest as bans simply because just playing the numbers, chances are somebody on that team wanted to play one of those heroes.
Yeah. Yeah. And she has slipped quite a bit. I mean, Ana has taken her spot. And a lot of her energy is lost in that momentum. But I do think that Lily is still a force. I had to do a tankless game the other day, and I did a Lily. Because, who better to tank than a Lily?
Right. Yeah.
As the
Hard
final.
to kill.
Yeah, we get a tank or we get a support. Well, sounds like Lily can do a little bit of both, at least.
Yeah. It's interesting. I would have thought you would have gone Uther.
I was tempted. I believe they had poison Dan. They had a Ghoul Dan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not. Yeah. Everybody's just dying of poison. They're like, please, Uther, help me. I can help one of you.
Yeah.
Who needs it here? Before we make our way out today, we did get an email from Crushinator over to the inbox at itncast@gmail.com, saying that he knocked out his first 5 placements yesterday and was pleasantly surprised to see how much he liked the preferred role tag. It's true that I personally didn't need them. I know which heroes do what, how to build a basic composition. What I didn't expect was how handy these tags were seen in the in-betweens of the team draft, and how useful they had been to start conversations. If I got into a draft and saw that one person had primary tank chosen, another had primary healer, fantastic. Now I don't have to worry about hovering melee or ranged assassin. If I got into a draft where everyone was ranged assassins as their primary, time to talk it out. With just that little piece of volunteered information about what kind of player you are, it becomes that much easier to talk to someone else and build a draft. So a little bit of counterpoint to our earlier conversation.
I mean, I think he makes she makes a strong point. It is, though, what I see here is kind of what's in my head, which is I want everybody else to use the tags. I like to have the information about them for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think there's value to it. I do. I think it is a good first step. It's just. And I'm glad Crush is finding value in it as well. I just find it, yeah. I just find it a little limiting. It feels like I'm here to do one thing, and even if you have a backup one, it's like I'm here to do one of 2 things, and I don't feel that way. And I also don't want to put people in a bucket that way, because when I see somebody who's like, I'm a ranged assassin or I'm a melee assassin, those are my preferred roles. And I'm showing Uther. And it's like, well, but you said you wanted to. Okay, I mean, I get you can play whatever hero you want, but it just throws me off a little bit if they're not actually showing a thing that they said they wanted to do. So I don't know.
No, that's fair. Actually, that is a question. I haven't seen a single ranged melee assassin. There's some amount of humbleness that at least exists in Plaid. Does that happen?
Well, I definitely see that. I see ranged assassin or nothing. I see like they've only picked ranged assassin.
Aww.
You know, and I see like ranged assassin, melee assassin, and then I see ranged assassin, you know, flex. And it's like, you want to play ranged assassin.
It didn't even fill in that other box. Please describe below. Now I'll leave it blank. He also goes on to say, now if we can get queue times under 5 minutes, we'll really have something here as the final statement. And it sounds like they are right there with you.
Crush. Yeah. Yes.
Well, before we end today, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show today and joining me for this conversation about Here's the Storm. You mentioned a video game and other sorts of things. Where can people find you across the interwebs?
Oh my goodness, yes. It is always a pleasure to be here, Kyle. It's always great to talk to you. I miss Garrett, but I love listening to you guys, and I'm so overjoyed when I get a chance to participate myself. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Jeff Cannata, which is spelled with 2 N's and 1 T. I do have a video game podcast all about the industry and all kinds of different games. It's called DLC. You can find that wherever you get podcasts or by visiting 5by5.tv/DLC. And as you mentioned, it was just announced yesterday, Alchemy Labs, which is an awesome name for a developer, cast me in their new VR game, which is called Vacation Simulator. It's the sequel to Job Simulator, a VR game I very much loved. And I'm playing Efficiency Bot. So I think that comes out next week. So check that game out. And if you have VR, if you don't have VR, you should. It's amazing. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. First of all, rename your hero's account to Efficiency Bot.
Efficiency Bot. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
You know, just hang up the hat and move on because this is who you are now. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a blast, man. I can't wait to play it. I haven't actually played it with me in the game yet. So I'm excited for it to release and hear myself talking to me.
You can find me over at Kyle Fergusson on Twitter. You can find my Twitch page over at twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. Thank you again to our fabulous producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. ITN shirts are available at shirts.amovetv. Coffee mugs, glasses over at etch.amovetv. Catch the show live, normally at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays over at twitch.tv/amovetv. When Garrett returns, which will be next week, you can find him over at Garrett Art. And thank you to Gorath for our lovely intro music and Brian Griffith music for our outro. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy Heroes of the Storm. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Fill out those queues. Hope to see you in Storm League. Good luck out there. Have fun. Take care.
Stay positive. Don't die.